Okay,
What's good in the hood, man?
what's good? Round of applause. Let's get this started. Garfield, what's up, brother? Thank you for joining me on the Low Theory, man.
Man, thanks for having me, man.
And yo, the Boston hat.
Of course.
I see you, bro. I see you. I should have worn mine, but I had to just rep, brand. Had to keep it in brand. You know what I'm saying?
You know what it is. I love your brand though, the low theory. That's
Appreciate you.
because it always reminds me of the low end theory by Tribe Called Quest.
Thank you.
And that's
You're
like one of
ahead.
my favorites of all times. Midnight Marauder than that right there.
Yo, and you see, only like true heads would know where I got that from. Obviously, the low end theory for sure. Yo,
Nah, that's dope.
so thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, so on the low theory, basically what we do is we just chop it up for, 20, 30 minutes, man. We want to talk about past, present, and overall it's just a music themed interview, bro. So I definitely appreciate you jumping on because honestly, Shai, huge fan.
Man, I
I you
appreciate
know,
that, man. For
I was
sure.
I was I was definitely blasting that album like crazy. If I ever fall in love, of course I had that on every single mixtape. You know, it's
Yeah,
crazy, man. Comforter's my
much
joint.
appreciated.
Yeah, man.
Yo, that
Um,
I never get tired of hearing that, man. Never get used to hearing it either.
I was gonna say that. I'm glad you don't, man, because you still have a lot of diehard fans, so for sure.
Yeah, that keeps me going, man. I love it.
Word. So, yo, let's jump right in. First and foremost, what I want to talk about is, of course, the Bean. You grew up in Brockton. Tell
Brockton
me,
Mash,
tell
yes.
me about
Brockton
that, man.
boxing.
Tell me about those memories. Like, how'd that happen? Like,
Oh
how'd you
my
come to the Bean?
God. Those are some of the best memories I have in my life. And like I'm still in contact with my basketball coach, Coach Ortiz, Vic. So Vic,
Okay,
if you're out there. And so Brockton boxer. So I moved to Quincy, Mass first before I go. Okay, so I was with my mom, lived with my mom, and she lived in Montgomery, Alabama. I was living with my mom in Montgomery, and my
okay,
mom and dad got divorced. My dad moved to Quincy. And so when I'm like 12-ish, I move up there. I get involved in youth sports, play football in Quincy. But Quincy was just like Montgomery. It was just up north. Like when I moved there, it wasn't a lot of black kids there at all. It was a lot
oh,
of
word.
Irish, a lot of Italian, um, but they weren't used to being around black kids. And so
Right.
I made friends. I made a lot of good friends. But then also there were people who kind of like just didn't like me because of my skin color. I had to fight a lot. And so all that.
Mm,
So anyway, that year it was dope though. I played ball for Quincy High. I did that. I made a lot of lifelong friends there. But my dad was like,
that's
yo,
crazy.
I was like, yo, dad, look, man, I don't know if I could do Quincy going through high school in Quincy, man, for real. Like I love you and all that, but he was like, so did you see any place when you was playing ball on the road, that you like? I said, well, it was two places that I saw that I really dug. I said Cambridge Rich and Latin High School, or Brockton
Yo,
High School. I said Brockton High School or
let
Cambridge is two
let me
two
let
places
me
I would
tell
like to
let me
live.
tell you a true fact. This is not no BS, man. My mom went to Cambridge Ridge and Latin, bro. When
What?
Patrick Ewing was there.
Yeah,
Real
yeah.
talk, man.
Coach Jarvis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So he didn't pick, I guess, because Cambridge. I guess the cost as an adult making that decision, he got to consider the cost of living. And Harvard is Cambridge is hard. That's like the
Right.
higher. In Brockton, and certain parts of it with no slouch, but we kind of had a nice. We picked Brockton. We moved to Brockton, and then I went out for the basketball team. And people don't know that Brockton is the biggest high school east of the Mississippi River. And so
Oh,
the population in the high school was 6,000 students at my time, and the graduating class was 2,000 students. So just the basketball tryouts was like, man, crazy.
whoa.
It was like maybe 200 kids on the first day talking about making 13 spots. And
Yo.
then in Brockton, the way it's designed is North Junior High, South, East, and West Junior High. And those feed into Brockton. So they pick up all them junior high schools coming. So they got all this talent. And I had just moved there, and I beat somebody out. I got a spot. So I made the team. And the team was
Crazy.
ranked 20-something in the nation that year or whatever. And we had to play against Brockton. We played against Ramil and them.
Oh yeah,
And
Ramil Robinson. Yeah.
yeah, did
Yeah.
Coach Jarvis and Jim
Yeah.
Edgehill and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all the other man
Eh,
Jarvis.
did anybody out of your high school go to the NBA at all? Do you remember anybody coming up or not?
Well, Ramil, well, not my high
Ramil,
school. Ramil,
Ramil,
he went through
oh no, no,
Michigan
of
and Coach.
course. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
for Brockton High, we had a lot of D1 players and stuff like that, but I don't think anybody ever went to the league. Like Curtis Jackson, he was our center at the time. He was like 6'11" while he was in high school. He went to DePaul. Gary Myers got him to DePaul on a scholarship.
That's
And we
crazy,
had
bro.
other player. We had a player though named Orlando Vandross, who was the star point guard of our squad, who went on to like be a hell of a coach for like I
Oh,
think BU, and I think he went to Florida International. Like I try to keep up with
okay,
him. But he ended up excelling as a coach, and
okay.
I'm just proud of him from this
Well,
because
well,
that
well,
was my point guard, man. Like threw me
right.
many alley oops and told me I ain't had no hops when I was jumping
What?
40 inches off the floor.
Woo!
And I had a vertical back then. I made the AAU squad and
Word.
A-State games. Yeah, we
What was your
traveled to
What
New
was your
York.
stats like?
I was so okay. I was like just body type or whatever. I was a slim 6'2", 185 pounder. I had they measured my vertical in AAU. I had a 38-inch vertical, but I had
Okay.
the right knee, so I was literally jumping off one leg because younger motorcycle accident. But
Oh
I
shoot.
I was so skinny, but I had hops. I was just flying through the air. The whole team had hops. Because then there's a dude named Curtis Jackson who ended up going to University of Cincinnati, who had a 42 or 43-inch vertical, right? When I had
Crazy.
my 38, he had that and everything. So,
Crazy.
yeah. So, I was like like on the AAU squad, I was probably averaging like, they played me a 2 guard, some point guard, and 3 guard. And I
Yeah.
averaged like 14 points, maybe
Okay.
like eight rebounds. It was like that, but it was a whole, it was a talent. It was an AAU squad, so it was a talented
Yeah.
distribution. And so I was like, the
Nah, for
three man.
sure.
I was
Nah,
like the
that's dope, man. And it's crazy because like I had no idea, you kind of grew up in Mass, which I think is sick, man. And then another thing, you're a hip hop head. You
Yeah, I
know,
used to
you
pop
you
breakdance back in the day,
right.
man.
You about the culture,
You used to
right?
go to Chelsea and battle the Puerto Rican kids. They used to have work for us, boy. Go to Chelsea, Jamaica Plain, Hyde
Oh
Park.
shoot.
We had the trenches down there. Stay away
Yo,
from the
that's
South, you know.
real.
You know
That's
what
so
I'm saying?
real. That's so real, bro.
But I had a ball, man. And Dudley back then on the Orange Line, man, it was like, to be fair, like Dudley was real because we used to go to Kite Festival, Franklin Park. Had to get
Yes.
off at Dudley and then walk up the block past the boys' club. I used to play ball at the boys' club and and I used to pop and play ball. So back then I used to see Michael Bivens in that boys' club, the Roxbury Boys Club right there.
Oh,
And then
word?
twins named, I think, Billy and Bobby. I think they was called the Funk Effects. But they was pop. They used to pop. I used to check out their
You
little
should.
moves. They was dope, man. It was twins was dope, man. And but I used to get mine. We had our little crew. We used to battle and stuff like that.
Yo,
It
that's
was battle.
ill, dog.
That
I
was my day. Cause growing up, Beat Street had just came out. You know what I'm saying? Breaking.
hell yeah, hell yeah.
I went to the theater to see that. Like, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
word. Yo,
When it
don't
came
age
out, I
yourself.
was.
I skipped school to see that, man. Mom, if you're watching, you don't know that, but I def skipped school to watch that movie, man.
Yeah, Boston was real. Brockton was even real, especially around them times, man, that I came up in Brockton. I was a basketball player, athlete, so I stayed out of trouble and all that. But it was trouble to be found if you was looking for it, man. Like,
Oh,
lives were
absolutely.
being lost, man. And, Brockton is home of, Rocky Marciano and Marvin Hagler. So our
Hmm.
nickname is the Boxers, come from that. Our basketball logo is a little bulldog dripping the
Yep.
basketball.
Yep. Yep.
But,
Yep.
Brockton was a blue-collar, real place. I learned a lot of life lessons, man.
Right.
And I met so many different types of people. Like, because of my look, whatever, I got like curl. I got it in the ball, but I got like curly hair, whatever. So like the Cape Verdeans from New
Yes.
Bedford, like Rockland was supposed to have beef in New Bedford, but I got along with the Cape Verdeans because they felt like I was like looked like one of them. So I was
Right.
eating
Right.
Jag.
You
It was
definitely
some
could
dish
pass for
called
one.
Jag. I was eating. They was feeding me. I was loving it. And then the Puerto Ricans, they was like, look, you look too Puerto Rican to not learn Spanish. I'm gonna teach you some Spanish. So I was learning Spanish with them, you know what I'm saying, and the Portuguese, the
Yo,
Cape
that's
Verdeans, the
crazy.
Portuguese, the Puerto Ricans, and then the brothers, of course. It was just
Right.
like a dope, it was just
Right.
dope vibe. And then everybody had popping skills. You had beatboxing, hip hop was in its infant stages growing. And you
Right.
had cats around there really taking it serious, perfecting the craft, MCs, DJs. And
Right.
it was
That's
just dope.
crazy.
Like I
You
heard
did it.
check
You
out my
did it.
melody for the first time on a basketball court. We was playing outside, and these Puerto Rican dudes came. It was a soccer field adjacent, and they bought this humongous boom box with like 2 turntables on it and like 4 cassettes. And they had the record. They put the record on, and I heard.
Ooh. Yes.
We was playing ball, and that came on, and then turn up the bass, check out my melody, hand
Yes.
out a cigar, I'm letting knowledge be born. I'm like, yo, who is that? That
Rakim
was the first time I
Allah.
heard Rakim was in Rockland on the basketball court with two Puerto Ricans with two turntables on this boom box when I'm hooping. And
Yo,
so
that's
those kind of
crazy.
memories, like,
Vivid, man. That's awesome, bro. Let's I mean, it's fair to say that Massachusetts kind of molded you in hip hop a little bit. So fast forward, bro, because I know the answer to this, but for everybody who doesn't know, let's go into Shai
okay.
now. So I heard, and tell me if I'm wrong, that like the group was kind of already established. You were kind of a late member of
Yeah, kind of
someone, right?
like before it was even named Shai, like the group consisted of 3 Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity members and then myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so Darnell, Mark, and Carl, they were in the same fraternity. So matter of fact, Darnell and Carl had formed a group called Beta since Alpha Phi Alpha was Beta chapter at Howard. So they
Okay.
had a little 2-man writer, production. They were maybe going to sell some of the song, type of working on music. And they were called Beta. But they were gearing up for this big talent show that happened once a year at Howard. And this is our only performance at Shai, actually, too, before we got a record deal. We didn't do all kind of shows. We did this one show, but it was like the Apollo. And so I had started hanging back out with Darnell again, life stuff, separated. We came back together. And during that time that I started hanging with them, chilling in the Fine Arts building where they used to rehearse every day, like 5 months out from the show, well, 2 of the guys quit. But since I had been hanging with DNA every day while they were rehearsing, I knew all the parts, to at least the bass thing.
Oh,
so
nice.
2 guys, 2 other alphas quit right before the talent show, because at this talent show, people get booed. Like, it's like the Apollo. And it's not because of lack of talent that they're getting booed. It's just like the atmosphere that the rowdy football players want to create,
right.
the New York crowd, the New England posses.
Right.
They want to boo something. They're going to come there and boo something. No
right,
matter what
right.
you sound like. So people were scared to go in and perform. So those 2 dudes dropped off. I was in there the whole time, and I knew the parts. And he was like, yo, man, we went from 5-man harmony to 3-man harmony. We need that full part at least. Can you, I know you know. So I was like, yeah, I've been in here. Through osmosis, I done soaked up some of these. So I agreed to go ahead and do it. And so that's kind of how I jumped into the Shai thing, because I was just there with them, and 2 people quit. I jumped on stage, and we killed it. And then shortly thereafter, we pursued a record deal and actually ended up freaking getting the record deal from MCA. Like,
that's shortly after that talent
like we only did that one show, but that show was like the proving grounds for sure, man. Like, and all the acts up there was so talented. Like,
was it like A&Rs in the crowd or something?
No, but it should have been, and it might have been, but it was like really a show, for the students put on, and at this big auditorium on the Howard campus. And like I said, it's exactly like the Apollo, the atmosphere, the crowd. Only thing missing is saying that he don't come across stage, but 2 bars into your music while they still fresh and just coming to the party, probably got a little alcohol in them, whatever.
Yeah.
They gonna make it loud. They're gonna turn up, and that's how they're gonna do it at your expense on stage. They're just gonna boo you just because.
That's crazy,
the
bro.
The talent was off the chain. That was before. It's like a lot of the artists end up being these signed artists that were out, that were out signed, that people know and love to this day. They were at that talent show that came out of Howard. A lot of people, but they didn't, and they got booed and didn't deserve it. Like,
yo,
I was like blown away. We just got lucky because we were on kind of last. And I think we just wore out the boo muscle of everybody's throat. They just wanted to just finally listen to somebody. and we
perfect
got lucky
timing.
To be last. Yeah,
right. I heard you guys came out to the 5, 4, 3.
And we did Boyz II Men song. We did Please Don't Go Away. We did We did a couple of more songs off that first Boyz II Men album.
Yeah.
And then they didn't boo us, and then they asked us for an encore. Then we were, because we had our music on this little DAT for the show for all the Boyz II Men. We had instrumentals on this DAT, but we didn't have nothing else. Like the DAT we did all that. So now what? So that's when we were like, yo, y'all want to do our little practice song? If I ever do a cappella practice song, and said yeah, we closed ranks at the front of the stage and got into a tight, and then started doing our snaps. And then did ooh da doo doo doo, then on. Ooh, and by the second chorus, the actual crowd, the crowd that was just hating on everybody and booing everybody, by the time the second chorus came around again, they were actually, what I'm saying? Like, and that gave us the momentum. Like, yo, if those people, the mean mud dudes out there, and they like, If that happened to them,
Right.
this song is magic. We're gonna get a
Right.
record deal. Like that's how we thought in our naivety. We was like, look, if we gonna get a deal.
Right.
And we
Yeah.
went to when they got a deal, and then when we finally got a deal and looked back on the process and all the bureaucratic hurdles and hoops that people usually have to jump through and all that, we realized that in our naivety, you know, we totally passed over all of that in terms of how we thought it was gonna be. But looking back, just because you got a dope song, I mean you're gonna get a record deal.
Right.
But all the cards fell in the way they, you know, I guess we were destined to be. Hence the name Shai, which means destiny in human form, because it was almost storybook how that happened for us. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. You know, that song was the song of that year, not like 92 to 94. I mean, everybody was singing that song, man. Everybody's covering it. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's crazy.
when you walked into that song, did you know it was gonna be the way it ended up being, like that huge?
Man, and like I said, in the most naive way possible, when I answered you this, that give you the answer, we really thought that the song was supposed to be legendary as soon as we heard it. As soon as we felt like we did it, we was like, yo, this is the dopest song ever. Like, we really believed
Wow.
that.
You
But it
knew
was
it.
from a
Right.
naive perspective. We weren't taking in all
Right.
the variables that after being signed and looking at the game and all the things that you now have to use as a
Right.
checkpoint. It's, you know, back then we didn't have that developed list. The only criteria was we thought it was dope. And it really did sincerely move us. And when we sung it or played it for others, they seemed to have the same reaction. It's a hit.
Crazy.
It's
And
supposed
that's
to be
it.
signed, and we're supposed to blow up
And you
because we
figure
are.
that's the
Like
formula.
that's how we felt about it.
Right,
But
right.
when it actually happened, we were like,
Right.
yeah, of course. But then as we got into the industry and saw actually what goes down, like other albums that we did and trying to get the single out, and you know, that's with the machine behind us and having all the difficulty and the red tape and
Yeah.
dang, that's crazy how If I Ever just popped, because
Yeah.
that was wow.
I want to add, speaking of the machine, I want to ask you one more because my favorite joint off that album is Comforter. Now I heard you say that the label wasn't really trying to push that record. Give us a little more insight on that.
That was almost like a dare that record was even released as a single. Like it was, I believe the label was intending on putting If I Ever out, and they gave us 2 weeks to do our first album because they wanted to sell that on an album rather than a single by itself for $9.99. If it's on an album, they can sell that unit for $20-something because it's
okay.
So they made us do it in 2 weeks. Hurry up, get something done, which is what allowed us to be able to do our own album because they didn't have time to get producers to put with us. So since we did our own music, all right, just put some stuff with that If I Ever one. You know what I'm saying? But luckily we had a cappella version of Comforter that we used to do also as a practice song, and Baby I'm Yours, that was like a practice song, and Together Forever, which was something that Mark had already written and brought to the group. So when we do the album, whatever, I think the label definitely, If I Ever was the first single, without a doubt. It was already out.
Right.
They were only going to release, I think, Baby I'm Yours second. That was going to be the only other single was Baby I'm Yours. Why? Because it had a relatively pop sound, even though the original was just the piano chords and us singing it and just the piano, like how we did it in the fine arts rooms. It sounded like Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye, because those are the chords of Baby I'm Yours. All it is Let's Get It On. If you listen to the chord.
Oh, I got to go back.
That's just, and then the label kind of made us add that like, that made it pop, you know, like
right.
made it kind of pop. If that was not there and it was all the gloss wasn't on the piano, it was just boom, 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 boom. Let's get it on.
Oh,
like let's get it on. And so anyway, they were going to put that out because it was more appealing to the white radio formats with the major radio format P1s that played you heavy rotation, had sister stations that would add you. So we were going to benefit from ads getting it on those major P1s, which happened to be power stations. But we were alienating ourselves from the black kind of stations, and we coming out of Howard. That's a bad look. That people were blaming us, though. We didn't realize that. We thought that they knew we were signed to some label and they were calling the shots, and we were just kind of trying to. No, they were directly blaming us. And so when we found out that was happening, we were like, yo, we got to do some spin. We got to go to our label. So we went to the label, had a meeting, and was like, look, man, the ear on the street is after If I Ever, people are like, they like If I Ever a lot and all that, but the people from the black neighborhoods are saying they love Comforter. Like, so much so that it's guaranteed to go platinum if you release this. Like, yeah, we're singers, but we're product, but we're also human beings in the marketplace too. Like, we're like human products. Like they can hear people's feedback and just tell you what it is. Once you
Yes.
forget market research, we telling you what it is. And so they were like, basically how that lady told LeBron to shut up and dribble. Basically, our label was kind of had that attitude, like about the singing, and
Wow.
we'll handle it. And we were like, nah, we from Howard, so we stayed in the square. Like, nah, we telling you that Comforter is the joint. And on top of that, it's not as pop sounding as Baby I'm Yours. And we need to kind of like ingratiate ourselves once again with our black bass, because they feeling like we kind of leaving them a little bit. You know what I mean? So we not doing black radio. We only doing, you know, it's like, come on, man, something got to give.
Right.
So basically, they were like, okay, we're gonna show you what's going on. We're gonna release Comforter, and then we're gonna release Baby I'm Yours, and then we'll see what the deal is. Come out, real cheap video, even though people seem to like that video. It was just really cheaply to it, but carried off somehow. It was cool, like I guess. But they didn't put a lot of money in the promotion and the marketing of that song at all. But purely on the fact that the people loved that song, the units was that it moved units. The video got put in rotation, as you know, as low budget as that video was.
Yeah.
And it was a popular song based on popular support for sure.
Did it go?
And
It went gold.
It went gold out the gate. Later on, I think by now, you know, they went platinum and all that. But at that time, with minimum support, without anybody paying any program directors money or anything that they do in the budget, any of that stuff, just strictly calls and popular stuff, it went gold out the gate, and it charted in the top 10 on Billboard.
And it's almost like a "I told you so" to the whole
so
team.
Then they stopped the campaign because it was at 10. It could have kept rising. It was already in the top 10. They just cut it short. And then they put on Baby I'm Yours, and they had to really promote Baby I'm Yours a lot. Like, and even within Baby I'm Yours, we were savvy enough to know that what they were trying to do with the pop angle. So we made sure that we did the video back at Howard University to create that anchor and that chord back with our bass. Look, this is where we come from. Like, even though the song got that, this is Howard though. And then we did the acapella thing at the end, and that was kind of how we used to really do it. If you heard the very end of the video, we did a little acapella on the bleachers. Yeah, that's Baby I'm Yours that I know. That's why, you know. It's an interesting story, man. Darnell and I are doing a biopic of writing it ourselves, of the whole Shai experience, even before we were Shai, just students at Howard, coming from where we came from.
Oh, that's gonna be incredible.
Into Shai, and what that meant for us, and coming of age and that skin.
Absolutely, man. No, I think that's going to be great. Now let's switch gears just a little bit, since you know you're a hip hop head. You got a record with Jay-Z, GOAT, man. Right?
Man, that was
3
crazy
verses.
Too, how that happened. Look, Jigga killed it too, man, and we got a record with KRS-One too called Destiny. KRS never did anything with an R&B group except for us, and we did the beat, and the song was called Destiny. He was really feeling the concept so much that he killed it. Like, so we did a joint with him and Jigga. The one with Jay-Z though, it was like, we did a song called "I Don't Want to Be Alone Tonight" off Blackface album, and we were trying to get a remix, and we didn't want to run on the mill like people just lift off your vocals and put a new track under it for a remix. We wanted to really do a remix, because like I think SWV kind of set the tone with that Human Nature remix from Teddy Riley, like that you can do something that's a little different than the original version, that's still banging, that's still got familiarity, that both of them can be in the top 10 without competing with each other. They got their own, but our label didn't see that anyway. So our label didn't give us any support on the remix. So we, on our own dime, we went to New York. We had some relationships. We reached out to, at the time, Hot 97. Marley Marl was the main DJ on Hot 97. And, you know,
legendary.
We came up with, we only had 5 racks. Like, you know what I mean? We gave them 5 racks out of our own pocket, you know what I mean? Because the label wasn't trying to do no remix.
And you say,
yo, want to do a remix.
But so, when you came to him, like, did you say, I want so-and-so, or he recommended?
No, he did, this is his doing. So look, so we were like, you know, you Marley Marl, like, if anybody got any kind of connect with anybody who he thinks might sound good, because we was using his track, and the track that he served us to do the remix on.
Yes, I remember it. Yep. Yes.
Yo, nobody.
Crazy.
Nobody.
Yep. Crazy.
Nobody needs it. So when he gave us that track as the track that he was like, y'all can use this for the remix. Well, me and Darnell being heads and Darnell being from Jersey, from Patterson, we was instantly, yo, we gonna kill this right here,
Oh,
right?
hell
Yo,
yeah.
oh my God. So me and Darnell wrote that song, that whole thing down, and you know, the beat was crazy, and you know, we was thinking like, who can be on it? Snoop. We was thinking all these different names,
Yeah.
and then we was like, hold up, this is Marley Marl's creation. Let Marley got some. Marley was like, don't worry about it. I got a few heads that I'm thinking about, and then he was like, yo, I got somebody. And he told us who it was. And at the time, the only thing Jay-Z really had out was he had the him and Foxy Brown, you know, ain't no
You
like
know,
the one
yeah.
I got, no one can you
Uh-huh,
bet.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
That was out, you know, and he was making a name for himself through that. And the joints was coming out. He was on some mixtape stuff. And
Yep.
it was nasty. He was like, ugh, ooh, he
Yeah.
don't rock, ugh. And he was Marley's dude. So he was kind of like, he was the poster child of Hot 97. Marley Marl did the beat. And since it was our song, but it was their baby too, they all had a vested interest in it. Marley pushed it at Hot 97. It was #1 at Hot 8 for like
He
a month
automatically
straight
gave
or
it
something
spins.
crazy. And look,
Yeah.
our label did not do a video for it. Why? Because they didn't pay for it. They didn't have any dog in the fight. They didn't care, you know. And it was a new label, a new black music department people that had come in. It was like a lot of turnover. So it was just a messed up situation, and we paid for our song, and Jay-Z was on it. Marley Marl produced it, and we couldn't even get a video.
Yo, if you
Like,
would have had the machine behind that, that record would have been crazy.
so it became
Even
like
crazier than what it was.
but it became like because it was the big market of New York that it happened to blow up in. You know, usually songs that don't get all over the nation don't blow up in New York because
Right.
that sets the taste usually for everybody else. So in a rare situation, New York was feeling something that never really got nowhere else because we didn't have the support.
Yeah.
But the thing was, the DJs, that song on Wax has become one of the like barometers of like, you know, what your crates looking like. You got that Shai Jay-Z joint.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Absolutely.
like a rare, like people know about it. So I'll take
Absolutely.
that too.
I
'Cause
remember that J verse. I don't remember it, but I know he starts, you can
he did
catch me
3
in the
verses.
city, in the
He
city
did 3.
sinning. Yo, I know.
Touching the track up like pretty
Like
women,
pretty
spitting
women,
venom.
venom. Woo.
With the snake
Yo,
skins in, applying pressure to you and your
in the
men's in.
men's in.
Damage I do, career ending. Y'all
Woo.
know what I'm representing. Fun,
Yes.
extra low. Got a 1 on the 10. Next to door. Y'all best to know I'm not alone. My music menage a trois with Shai and I. Ha ha.
Woo.
Nigga killed it, man.
Classic J, crazy record, man. If people in the chat have never heard it before, I'm pretty sure you could probably find it on YouTube or search it, man.
Yeah,
You could
it's
definitely listen to
tonight.
it. Definitely, man. Yo, a couple more questions, man. But let me see. Someone wanted me to ask this, and you can answer it if you want. But basically, asking like, why did the other two members leave, Carl and
Oh yeah, well, you know, like even early
what happened?
on, like okay, so like I said, I came into a group that was 3 alphas, and then I came in, and Darnell was my guy. Like we were
Right.
roommates freshmen, like we grew up, and then I met those two through that other.
Yeah.
So Carl was always kind of like, you know, he really had industry aspirations. I didn't grow up wanting to be in the industry. I kind of fell into the situation we ended up being in, and it was nice. Like, but I always knew that wasn't a real life scenario. Like one day I was going to get back in real life, right?
Yeah.
But Carl really was like, you know, he really wanted to be in the industry. He knew more than us in terms of the business. Like he was more. He really was
he did most
that.
of the production as well, right?
Early on, yeah, early
Okay.
on he did. But Darnell and Mark though were the actual musicians. Like Darnell had a fine arts. He was on trumpet, and Mark could play the piano like that. Like we did Together Forever, During the Storm, all that piano. Like he played for the church choir in at Howard. Like musicianship wise, so Carl was a budding producer. He was learning the beat machine pretty good, and he was trying to get some little piano. He was taking little piano classes, trying to get some chops. But Darnell was and Mark could play the piano. Like they were the, you know. So anyway,
right.
But Carl kind of had a more business savvy, and he kind of made sure that the writing credits went a certain way for him, and that it was like strategic how he did that. But he
basically you're basically saying he already had a plan, a 5-year plan.
Well, he was going to be in the industry regardless, is what the plan
knew.
was, and it kind of like the way he was the guy like everybody needs to have in the group that is the follow through person with the label that's gonna, the only thing is when you create a situation like that, the guys that aren't that guy got to make sure that that guy still is definitely advocating for them too. Like,
Correct.
so, you know, he's getting relationships and all that. So that, you know, he was doing what he was supposed to do. To be honest with you, like, you know, like he could have, you know, been maybe more like selfish even, like actually, because he had the relationship. So he probably would have never been a Shai because he had it like that with them, and he had them believing that he was doing, you know. But anyway, my point being, Carl always wanted to be like Carl, like an entity within the industry. He wanted to make his own stamp. And the 4-man group thing, we all knew even going in it at some point he was going to be on his own because he had those aspirations and stuff like that. And so just basically a matter of time from the leverage of the first album that we did so well, he really wanted it, like even the second album, he always was going by the second album, you know what I mean, to start off trying to do some more stuff, try to get his own label, put out other artists. Like he had other aspirations, you know. And at the same time, you know, it was kind of like, you know, he fancied the whole project being more of his creation in the first place because he actually did write the lyrics to If I Ever Fall in Love, you know. But the music version of If I Ever Love For, like that doom 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 doom, that's an Isaac Hayes sample that Darnell brought to the production. The changing of the chords and stuff, that's Mark and Darnell. That instead of ooh da da doo, you get ooh, that different, slightly. That's Mark and Darnell's you know. So it's like arguable, you know. Carl did pen it, but Mark and Darnell had a heavy influence on our musicianship throughout Shai and the chords that we would go through and different. So they didn't get represented, I'm saying, in terms of the writing credit. So when we try to get our feet, you know, get record deal after Carl left, they didn't believe that we could write or produce because Carl's name dominated everything. But it really wasn't the case. He just knew more than us and got it like that. And it boosted him up, you know, more power to him. But it wasn't an accurate depiction of what went on in Shai in terms of the creative process. Even though he is a beast with the pen, Carl is. That's true. That boy's a beast with the pen. And he's not a bad musician, don't get me wrong, but Darnell and Mark are musicians. Like, so it was 3 of us after that. Me, Mark, and Darnell. We still kept it going. We would play with different little members coming in, helping doing different things. And then we just kind of like at a certain point, you know, we just like some different little ethical things over like our price point kind of got us into a little tiff at a point. And then, you know, kind of, you know, want to blow out arguments, and then it really, really was come back fromable, but people's pride and all kind of stuff along the way. So just timing. And so Mark just didn't want to, I feel like Mark just didn't want to be in that no more and like dealing with that. And he was kind of, we were getting older. He was moving into other directions and family life and real estate and kind of reinventing himself. And because we were doing shows together, but you know, we had like a difference in opinion about how we was going to run the business in those. So it ended up being that me and Darnell were kind of the most like-minded in those ways. So we just kind of like took the reins and just kept going forward. And numbers.
You and Darnell still doing it.
Yeah. So, you know, we got 2 other guys. Actually, one of the dudes is from the group Riff from back in the day. They went to Eastside High School with Joe Clark. Darnell went to that school too. But that he joined Men of Vision. And so one of the guys from Men of Vision, G-Fly, and then Dwayne, he came from, when he left Riff and went to Men of Vision. Both of those dudes came to Shai now. So we got G-Fly and Dwayne in our group for the last 12, 13 years or so.
And they got chops. They could sing.
Yeah. They were in the industry before us type of thing.
Right. So, that's dope, man. I'm glad.
Darnell grew up with, you know, Dwayne and stuff like that, you know, from Patterson. So like Darnell's dad was their manager when they were Riff. And Darnell's dad was also a social worker at the school, you know, during the Joe Clark era and all that kind of stuff.
Man, Garfield, you didn't even tell me. We went through this whole interview and I had your wrong @name pinned.
Oh, at the Garfield Bright experience?
I'm gonna repin it right now.
Oh, I didn't know.
They all know. People know.
Garfield Bright. Yeah, look right here. I see.
No, now I'm gonna pin it. There we go. That's crazy, so man. But at least
off that way.
Yeah, it leads me to my last question. Basically, you know, you're still doing it. You're still kind of doing shows, but you have your doctorates. You're a doctor now.
Yep, Dr. Bright. I got my PhD.
You got your PhD. Are you in the medical field? What is it in?
Oh no. Medical doctor is an MD.
MD, you have your,
And those are
okay,
doctors as well. Those are the doctors who,
right,
the anatomical stuff, and they
right.
go to med school.
Got
Then
it.
you have philosophy, doctors of philosophy in different disciplines.
Oh,
And so my discipline is education. I have a PhD in educational policy. So
amazing.
you have PhDs in history and PhDs in women's studies and PhDs and all kind of stuff.
How did
A
you,
doctorate just means a terminal level of that trajectory of education. You have reached the final level
yes,
of it.
that
And so
comes, that
you're
comes after
supposed to
the
be an
masters,
expert.
right?
Well, master's is before it. I got my master's at Georgia State as
Right.
well in African American Studies, focused on what is Afrocentric education. It was my thesis, and then I went to educational policy studies at Georgia State, and I looked at how Black males navigate spaces that have inequitable power distribution. Looking at how Black males navigate classroom spaces in schools, and also how Black males navigate the music industry as Black male artists in a power mode. When you're dealing with a contract, it's coming already leaned against you. You're trying to negotiate some comfort within a piece of document that's already in favor of the owner. And so how do you navigate that? And the same kind of dynamics in the school when a product is to come out of it, where you go from an artist to a product maker, in terms of how the label, when they get it, what that is to them versus what you think it, And the same with school. You are to become the product in a school scenario, going through a machine or going through a program. How do you navigate being going through a program that's supposed to make you into some kind of amenable product for the marketplace that might not be in line with how you are as a human? How do you navigate those things when two different trajectories might be happening at one time? And so I looked at that, you know what I mean? And it was interesting. It was interesting.
How did you balance, going out there, extending your education, getting the degree, and also, still trying to tour and create music? How did you
It
do
was
that, man?
crazy, because I lived the double life anyways, just naturally, because, education and being in Shai that's actually my reality. Navigating that is actual natural to me, to my life, because that's what I've known. And so, we were on a Tom Joyner cruise for 7 days to fulfill the Shai obligations. We got called to perform, but I was finishing up chapter 4 of my master's thesis because I had to present,
Oh,
that chapter
shoot.
to
That's
my
crazy.
committee chair when I got back off. So I'm doing both. So it's just both of them are inside of me. And so I always looked at, instead of an either or kind of concept, go for the both and situation. And so I'm doing both at the same time because both are actually me. You know what I mean? None of them is more important than the other. They both are
Wow.
aspects of myself, and I just went for it. So
Wow. Yeah, definitely. Somebody said discipline. Absolutely. Discipline, hard work, motivation. That's not easy what you did. So salute to you, man.
thank you, man. Sometimes I
Absolutely.
wonder if I'm crazy because the kind of discipline it takes to kind of focus like that,
It's a lot, man.
it's beyond the it's like it's scary because it's a fine line between that kind of focus and some kind of mental disorder. Because
It's
you
hard,
kind of
man.
gotta, so I can respect like certain athletes that perform at a very high level. Like think about a person like a Tiger Woods or a LeBron who comes out of high school. While in high school, ESPN is at his games, so the threshold for failure for him, it's got to be low. Like any little thing will be like, oh, you aren't the anointed one. And this is a 17-year-old kid. So going through the pros, he's putting on grown man teams expecting to be the savior. And he actually did this stuff,
Right.
and stayed out of trouble. And so my point is on the spot training and doing that, if you made out of that, it's like you can't teach anybody that. That's got to be a kind of a thing that's beyond a conscious kind of
I agree.
stay out of trouble. You got to be wired a certain kind of way. And I attest that to get your PhD and to go through the phases of the coursework and then get your dissertation completed and approved, and then they say congratulations, you have partial fulfillment of your, blah blah. Like that kind of sacrifice is crazy. Let alone the kind of monetary, sacrifice that it takes to kind of even go there as well. And then you got to alienate family members and different people who don't understand what you are actually doing and how intense you have to be to perform at a high clip. Like I had a 4.03 grade point average on top of getting the award-winning dissertation out of my cohort.
Salute to
I
you,
didn't
man.
just skate through on some Shai. Like I really did it at a high clip because I came from
Yes.
Howard. I was already scholar type of guy. So, you know, and so to really perform at my standard, I took it so serious. And, you know, maybe, you know, like a lot of people in my world suffered, you know, and I apologize to them, but it's kind of like hard for them to really understand that kind of sacrifice, because you gotta, you know, it's you can't it's like a juggle that you can't. It's like almost like a lose-lose in a lot of those ways. You know what I mean? But you still keep your eye on that goal. So like teams that go for the championship, or like I see how special, because all those ups and downs that people don't see to get to the culminating point. They'll praise that culminating point, but all the collateral damage along the way that can never be repaired. Those are scars that I still live with. But I accomplished something rare. You know, being a platinum artist who also got a PhD. That's something that I'm not sure that's been done. But
right. So you feel like that's what I'm just saying. You feel like the end goal was worth it?
Yeah, you know, because legacy wise, even though like when time clears and goes past and people really see what I did and what it actually means to just you know, just to the legacy of my family name, and then this artist in general, in terms of perception of how people view artists, or the pretty light skinned one in the group. I'm actually Dr. Bright because I'm substantive at the same time, but people might not have known that. And then I don't wear it, I don't carry it like that. I'm still G from the hood too. You know what I mean? But I'm myself in all spaces, but the aptitudes that I carry and have are not easily seen on my sleeve. So you can't sleep on people. And I'm a testament to that. Like when people get to know me and speak to me and talk to me, they see that there's some gray matter there. But, you know, I don't take that too serious. I don't walk around telling people to call me Dr. Bright. But when you find out, you realize it. So I think later on in the future, when people scan the history of the terrain of the R&B world and I pop up, there might be a special little caveat there in terms of like how I navigated and negotiated this thing.
Absolutely.
But now in the present, you know, it was hard work, but it was definitely worth it.
Absolutely, man. That's great. I hope that's an amazing story. Now, our time is up. What do you got to say to the fans, you know, listening? You got anything new coming on? Like this is your time to kind of just plug whatever you need to plug, bro.
I'm doing a album. It's all acapella called Off Track, because I created the tracks with my mouth and then I did the songs on top of that. So I'm calling it Off Track. Okay. Darnell and myself, we're doing a project called the D&G kind of thing. I just wrote a fiction book called Lotus 3013. It's a combination of Harry Potter, Star Wars, Beat Street. If you can picture those three. And it's coming out next month. And, you know, just be prepared to check the IGs for the different things. I'm making commercials and stuff for it now, so y'all will be in the know, in the loop. But support when it comes out. You know, my sons did the production on the score for the Lotus book. Like in 3013, hip hop is believed to be a white cultural product. And so it's the forces of good and evil dealing with that. And it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing around it. But it's dope.
I'm interested. I'm definitely going to support. All right, man. Well, listen, again, thank you so much for jumping on the platform. I think the conversation was sick, man. I had a great time talking to you.
Yeah, I had a ball,
you know,
man.
Yeah, if you ever want to come back on with Darnell, let me know. We can definitely chop it up, man. The door is open.
And thanks to everybody out there that supported us over the years and just love good music. Keep supporting, man. Like, that means the world to us, for sure.
Absolutely. Dr. Garfield, it was a pleasure, brother. Take care.
Salute.
Salute, bro.